So I wanted to create this sandworm effect in Minecraft where the sand moves in a path and it kind of looks like something's chasing you under the sand. It was honestly pretty hard to figure out the design, and I'll take you through the reasons as to why I even wanted to make this design, and I'll give you some insights into the design and how it turned out. I guess you could take Dune for a reference, where the sandworm moves around the ground and creates like this effect of where the sand is moving. So my inspiration for this started when they first introduced sculk sensors into Minecraft. I thought it was really cool that you could detect movements and things like that, and you could convert it into redstone signals. And then I kind of forgot about it and just went on and didn't play Minecraft that much. And then after a while, I made this YouTube channel that you're watching this video on, and I felt like I should make Minecraft videos. So I made a bunch of shorts, and and then I randomly thought of a sculk sensors, and I wanted to make a video on that. And then I figured out that you could just put a block above the sculk sensor and send a redstone signal through the block. So then I put redstone lamp above the sculk sensor, and then if I threw like a projectile or like did any movement near there, I could trigger the redstone lamp. And so then I just placed a bunch of them in a grid, and then I just threw like a bunch of snowballs and then made a video on that. And I didn't think much about it. Then I just went on to make other shorts. Then I just like ran out of ideas in shorts, and then I thought of the sculk sensor again and decided that I should probably make it more interesting, because redstone lamp lighting up is kind of cool, but I wanted some like movement. I wanted some like more interesting things. So I remember that I could probably add pistons above the sculk sensors, and then I made a video on that where the piston would trigger whenever you had any movements. The problem is that whenever the piston does get triggered, it also triggers all the other pistons, so it kind of looks like a wave. And with that wave, I just made a video on it, and then I didn't think much about it. I posted it on YouTube and on TikTok. Then out of nowhere, I got a bunch of notifications on TikTok, and I just went to go check on the app, and the video had gotten hundreds of thousands of views and a lot of likes and a lot of comments. Most of the comments were hating on Dean, which is fair, because he said that the build was mid, which I actually agree with him, because it wasn't that interesting. It was just a piston on top of a sculk sensor. Some people were also giving me suggestions on what else to build. So then I made another video using some people's ideas, and then that also got a lot of views. And in that video, someone commented that I should add sand above the pistons to make it look like something was chasing you. And I thought it was a good idea, and I knew that I definitely need to make a video on this. But I knew that it was going to be really hard, because I'm not a redstone expert, but I wanted the challenge. So the main reason why I can't just reuse my previous design is because the sand would trigger the pistons and it would be chaos. Therefore, you can't get like a clear path for the sandworm, and it just looks like a bunch of like random piston movements. Therefore, I needed to think of a new idea. At first, I thought that I could just put wool above the sculk sensor and then put pistons above there. But then the redstone signal doesn't pass through the wool, so therefore I needed a new way of figuring out how to do this. So I knew that I was going to use the wool in some way to block the signal from the piston to the sculk sensor. So then I thought of making a 3x3 grid where pistons surrounded by wool, and then there's one sculk sensor and one piston per each grid, and then I can create a redstone signal that passes from the sculk sensor to the piston somehow, some way. So I came up with this design where the sculk sensor triggers this redstone torch, which then goes up the torch tower and then triggers the piston, and the piston is then surrounded by wool to protect it from other piston triggers. But the problem with that design is that I can't just have one piston pushing one block. It would just not look good. It would just look like, oh, there's only one block moving. It doesn't look like a whole section of it is moving. So then I decided to put slime blocks above the piston, and then put blocks around that to make it look like a whole section is moving. But then the problem with that is that right above the piston, I can't put another block, or else it just looks very unnatural. So then I just compromised and decided to use slabs. And then for the path of the sandworm, I decided to use a minecart to trigger the sculk sensors. So I just created this path where the minecart could move, and then I posted that video, and a lot of people liked it. But then some people were commenting on how it doesn't look very good with the holes in the ground because of the slabs. And then I knew that I needed a new design. And then a user named Lupus commented on the video saying that why couldn't I just use wool, and then told him the reason why I couldn't use wool, and then he still insisted that there was a better way of doing it. So then he said that he wanted to give it a try. So then we added each other on Discord, and then he showed me a screenshot of a working prototype. The design was really interesting, and I was kind of surprised that I didn't think of that before. And then he said he could make the design even better. Then after a while, he came up with this design, which was way better, and it actually worked like the exact way that I wanted it. That's when I realized I could probably never be a redstone expert because I couldn't even think of that design. And then I actually built the final product, and here's how it looks.